Road user charges. What are they and do we need them? There's been a lot of controversy around these. So basically an RUC, or road user charge, is a charge levied on a vehicle, usually based on a per kilometre or per mile basis. Now, so far, this idea has been directed at electric vehicles by internal combustion engine vehicle drivers, saying, well, they pay tax on the fuel and EVs pay nothing for the upkeep of the roads. Well, let's just get one thing straight here. In Australia, all fuel excises, taxes and levies, etc., that are collected by the government go into consolidated revenue, and they can be used for anything from buying ammo for the army to a soft pillow in the hospital. Also, here in Australia, the High Court ruled in October 2023, last year, that the states cannot collect a road user charge. Now, this was as a result of the Victorian government introducing an electric vehicle road user charge. Now, my mate Chris Vanderstock and somebody else, and I'm sorry I've forgotten her name, I should have looked that up, they took the Victorian government to the High Court over this, and they won, and all monies collected was refunded with interest. And if you like this, then please click the like and subscribe buttons below. Thank you very much. So, here in Australia, there's a lot of confusion over the fuel taxes and so on. So when you buy fuel at the Bowser, a large percentage of that cost is government excise. It's around 50 cents a litre. And on top of that, you've got the GST, which is around 18 cents per litre. Now, this is a tax on a tax. Yeah, the government are very good at doing this, aren't they? Now, that makes the total of around 68 cents per litre in government taxes. It depends upon the price on the day, but it's that, give or take a few cents. Now, that works out to be about 34% of the total price. Now, you might think that's a lot, but actually, Australia is the third lowest proportion of fuel taxes in all OECD countries. Denmark is actually the highest, with 40% in taxes. So people argue that EVs don't buy fuel and pay fuel tax, and they need to be charged accordingly. Yeah, well, look, I agree some form of road user charge needs to be levied, with a couple of big caveats, which I'll cover later. There are a lot of ways people can get a fuel tax credit here in Australia for business purposes. So, put simply, a vehicle that buys petrol or diesel for use on the roads can claim back just over 20 cents per litre, and if it's used for, say, stationary machinery, it's 50 cents a litre. There are quite a few categories, but I'm not going to go into the complicated nature of the Australian tax system. So, businesses driving heavy vehicles that create more damage to the roads than EVs can get a hefty rebate. And then the people claim that EVs are heavy, so they cause more road damage. No, they aren't. So, for instance, my Model Y, it's an SUV, the single motor, weighs in at under 2,000 kilos or 2 tons. And if you look at the Model Y all-wheel drive and performance, they still come just under the 2-ton mark. Now, the average weight of cars sold in Australia is around the 2,000 kilogram mark. So the Tesla Model Ys are very much there in the average weight category. Look, Europe is different because they have smaller cars there. And when you consider that here we do buy a lot of SUVs and utes, which stands for utility vehicles or pickup trucks for you Americans, they can weigh a lot more. Look, the Ford F-150 here comes in at well over 2,000 kilos, and the Ram 250 closer to 3.5 tons, 3,500 kilos. And you can see that the weight argument is skating on thin ice, likely to fall through. Sorry about the pun. Now, the first two countries in the world that have introduced an RUC that I can see were Iceland and New Zealand. Yeah, our friendly neighbours next door, the Kiwi people. Now, to introduce an RUC, you really need to start to lower the fuel excise at the same time as you introduce the RUC. But for all vehicles, not just EVs. And there's, as I said, some of my caveats. 1, no fuel exercise. 2, road user charge for all vehicles. And 3, cut the subsidies. I'll get to that in a minute. So this is what seems to have been done in both Iceland and New Zealand. And it needs to be fair for all road users. So all road users pay their fair share. And this is the only way I can see that it needs to be done. So Iceland have indicated that they're phasing out fuel taxes to charge a road user charge to all vehicles from 2025. That seems fair. New Zealand, however, I believe still have fuel taxes and a road user charge for EVs. Now that's going to cost EVs around about $1,000 New Zealand a year to say drive a Tesla or a Nissan Leaf. So the government have announced an intention to phase out fuel taxes, but there's no timetable for this. You good old government say. Now in New Zealand, the charge there is 76 New Zealand dollars per 1,000 kilometres travelled. That's about 600 miles. And there's an admin fee on that as well. So for EVs up to 3,500 kilos, it's 76 per 1,000 Ks. So if your average motorist drives 12,000 kilometres, it's going to equate to an RUC of 912, or for $15,000, it will be 1,140 New Zealand dollars. Now that's not including the admin fee of between $12 and $14, because you can buy a 1,000 kilometre license or a 5,000 or 100,000, and you got the one admin fee. So these admin fees for the road user charges could well be different in each country. I don't know if Iceland have got it there. And now let's get to that big elephant in the room. It's a big problem. Fossil fuel companies get subsidies, either explicit or implicit, and that amounts to a staggering amount of money. Yet people bitch and gripe about a small EV subsidy. So let's have a look at a few charts. So here in Australia, we subsidise a total of $14.5 billion Australian. Now that was in 2023, 2024, and that's an increase of 31% on the 11.1 billion recorded in 2022 to 2023. And just to put that in perspective, 14.5 billion equates to 27,581 for every minute of every day given to fossil fuel companies in either explicit or implicit subsidies. What the actual fuck? And worldwide here, it's just as bad, if not worse. Over 7 trillion with a T US dollars, by the way, was given in subsidies to fossil fuel companies in 2022 alone. And as you can see from this, it's been steadily increasing from just over 4 trillion in 2015. Now that's $7 trillion in US is 10.72 trillion Australian. Now, let's just think about that for a moment. Countries need to stop these subsidies. I mean, if they stopped all these subsidies to the fossil fuel companies, that would be brilliant. I mean, they're all decreasing the EV subsidies and stopping them. But these subsidies taken back into consolidated revenue would make a huge difference to the bottom line. A lot more money in consolidated revenue. Now, it wouldn't be 7 trillion because some of this is given in implicit, but it would still be many billions of dollars. And that would build many hospitals, many schools, at the very least. What are your thoughts on a road user charge and subsidies? Make some comments below, especially if you're in a country that has an RUC for EVs, and let me know what's going on. Look, personally, I believe it's going to come to all of us as the number of electric vehicles increases when compared to internal combustion engine vehicles. And governments around the world will see a fall in their fuel exercise. At one point, there's got to become a tipping point, maybe at 50% EVs, 50% internal combustion vehicles. They need to start acting, but they should look at it starting now with a view to bringing it in sometime in the future. So, look, we all get charged a license fee every year. Here, that's for the state. But really, the governments need to stop all these subsidies or give electric vehicles similar subsidies. Yeah, what do you think about that? Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen to the fossil fuel companies, peeps, because they donate very nice, tidy sums of money to keep these various political parties sweet. It's dirty money, really, isn't it? What do you think? Now, while you're down there making comments, don't forget there's that like and subscribe button. Please click on them. Thank you so much. It really does help me get motivated. It helps the algorithm on YouTube and so on. Now, down below in the description, there's also links to my Ko-fi page if you want to help me in other ways. Thank you to the people that have done that already. And there's also my Tesla referral. If you'd like to use that, you may get some benefit from it. So take a look down there and see what you can find, may be of use. And I'll see you all very soon.